Okay, so just a quick recap of the charts. Obviously, now that we're on the weekend and can sort of have a bit of a review of sort of what's been happening with the price action. But first of all, so let's start off with gold because obviously, gold has just been de-trade for the last 3 weeks. Ever since we had the situation with the Middle East and that sort of first kick off back down here, so around the 1800. We were already breaking out on a technical basis. Albeit sort of not expected to have such a reaction here, but on a technical basis, and then it gapped up and it's just left that gap. So there is actually a gap down over here at 1830, which is left open, which seems at the moment obviously just to be a runaway gap. So anyway, that's back there. This is more this week that we've been looking for. So got a little bit of a longer grind, but still the price action was as we kind of expected. So come at the start of last week. We were sort of looking around this zone here to give up this first little short-term um, trend that we'd sort of come away from the main trend from. And as I said, yeah, you can trace the sort of lines there. I expected pull back, push up, fail, come back down to these levels. Obviously, this held very well, even though it sort of pushed down underneath here. It didn't manage to actually close down underneath this main trend at this time, and then obviously sort of just slowly ground its way up towards 2K. So it really, for the most of the week, it was fairly like, considering how it had been ranging, how it had been sort of trading, it was fairly flat. You're looking sort of, what's this, about 1980s to, bottom side 1953. Well, so $30, but $30 range for the whole week is still quite tight. So it was obviously a lot of a sort of sideways grind, and sort of in the sort of second part of the week and that. We saw this sort of like nice push up here, closed up over that sort of 1980 level or 1984 in the lower time frames we were looking for, and it started to shore up this new little sort of support line, as we can see, pushing up along here. And obviously, as the week closed out, bang, exploded. High volume coming in, buying, took out all those highs that we'd had previously, and up until, as you can see, marked out here, this 206 zone. Pretty much sort of market agreed and sort of came right in, closing right up near the highs on that. So yeah, certainly dollar bull's looking very good. We've got 2 days left of the trading month as well, and if you flip onto the monthly candle, monthly chart with the monthly candles, you'll see that it's quite interesting because actually you might be able to see better on this other gold one here I had marked out. Gold's never been able to close above 2000. Well, technically, it's never actually closed above 1991, but 2000 is a nice big round number for it all. So yeah, it's at the moment obviously looking very, very strong. Just an interesting sort of thing to see what this pullback was here. Okay, so yeah, just over the 50 and that, obviously down in these weekly supports and that, but almost down to the 61 with this whole move sort of, going back from November last year, so a 12-month move there. But yeah, certainly if we get back down onto the lower time frames or onto the daily, very strong. And as we can see, so go back flying all over the charts here. But what we were looking for was to close above 1980. And as you can see, it sort of failed to do this a couple of times, came up here and gave us a nice little support. So really this close up here, albeit only a small one, this was from, I think this was Thursday's video, I was saying that, look, we've got the close up above here. It still wasn't a set thing confirmed, excuse me, of course, because sort of like, it wasn't a super strong volume candle. It wasn't sort of like these ones here, how we've got the resistance, 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 and then bang, blew out the top. That's obviously what came on the Friday. So hard to sort of say how we're going to sort of travel sort of coming through the week. Certainly still, bullish is the sort of direction that you expect it to go. Could potentially see a little bit of a sort of early pullback. We have sort of seen a couple more sort of progressions, I guess, with Israel and Gaza and all that kind of stuff. So that could be sort of feeding into the idea that we actually might sort of go a little bit harder early. But I think certainly wait and see because like these big sort of volume moves and that it did close near the highs, which is a positive for obviously further gains. I do think obviously we are going to get a little bit higher. I've been saying above 2000, the whole way coming up here. So, as to sort of where we go sort of early Monday, Tuesday, I'm a little bit on the fence with it all. Obviously, last week, Monday, sort of we had the gap down and a little bit of a pullback. This one's shot through, so I don't know if that buying was in anticipation for stuff to kick off further over the weekend, or if that was just, obviously stops and all this kind of stuff hidden. And it's certainly pushing up. So I think if you were if you were gold short here, you'd be pretty pretty nervous because this comeback has just been just monumental, of course. So yeah, so really going to sort of wait and see sort of what happens with gold on the Monday session, as to sort of whether they're going to run it early, or whether we're going to see a repeat of last week's, which was a little bit of a sort of drop off, a little bit of a slow grind through the week, and await more sort of like solid news. But certainly, yeah, gold very much in the sort of bull mode at the moment. DXY still sort of puttering along sideways. Interesting, sort of, if you get down onto the lower time frames, we're starting to see a little bit of a sort of a sell down here. Obviously, we can start to put in with this one even a short term lower high through this drive up here. And this is what I've been saying about DXY, even sort of within the larger moves. It does love these big, deep pullbacks, because if you were sort of like, think about it, if you're shorting down here, and okay, it's come down to this point here, okay, it started to fire back up, it's come back up to the 78%. But that obviously didn't continue and then sort of just fire straight through. Like, even though it was coming right up here to show weakness, you've come in and put down a new low in this little short-term move here. So, you know what I mean? It's hard to sort of say. Realistically, if you want to get out a little bit further, if you look on the 4 hours, probably a better idea about things. So if we get rid of this sort of short-term pullback, I'd update this chart a little bit. This triangle through here with the yellow lines, that certainly at one point seemed to be respected, as we can see sort of as it closed and came down through, this really smashed down quite hard. But it's since sort of come back, waffled around a little bit, and I'm pretty much happy to sort of get rid of this, because I don't think that sort of whoever's sort of pushing things are really trading off this too much more at the moment. Let's clean this up a little bit. Yeah. But certainly, this sort of falling resistance coming through here, we could be potentially be seeing a sort of bit of a back test here. So we've got our break point. The back test has obviously come down a little bit sort of lower than the breakout point, and we've seen a bit of a push off this falling resistance, or sorry, previous falling resistance, now sort of falling support. So starting up here and obviously coming in as support here. We could see it actually play a little bit of a sort of resistance for a third time here, but obviously then sort of pop through there. So again, got to sort of wait to sort of see, like, there is a small little range here. If we can sort of push back down to this side here, I'll call this a little bit of a fake out, and I'll be looking for sort of a bit of a continuation again to come back down here. But the fact that if you're looking for a bullish case in the short term, at least on the 4 hours here, this push up here has come back, and you've only sort of managed to bring it to the 38%, which has obviously come in a confluence with this sort of falling resistance here. Falling support, previous falling resistance. And that's obviously offered a little bit of a launch pad for it to sort of shoot off into the sort of closing hours of the week. So again, it's more or less still just sideways hustle with it. If we get back onto the daily, we can see quite a large doji coming in here. We have sort of seen this was a bit of a negative divergence coming down here with this last drop down, and obviously we've seen the reaction as that's happened. So you've got the sort of, again, prices moving down. The RSIs are managing to sort of not be able to push down as deep as it was previously. So it's not reflecting the actual action with the price. And we're seeing that sort of reversal push up the other way. So, these are really strong indicators, but they are somewhat lagging. Like, there's a point here, you're not really knowing until you're up here to sort of know that this is a full confirmed negative divergence. So, yeah, again, look, it's a doji that's indecision. So the market's just sort of, I guess, still just waiting for news to sort of see what's going to push it in the next direction. We've still got these sort of solid, let's just make this a little bit darker actually. Yeah, so these zones here, these are really sort of battle lines with it all. If we can get down underneath here or get above here, that's when we're going to start to see this more direction. But obviously, sort of as we saw as it came down last time, it's just exploded back up. And realistically, you can't call it up, down, anything at the moment, because it's just sideways. I mean, they're sort of happy to buy it to sort of see if they can give it another shot here. but obviously equally you're sort of battling with a lot of people that are taking profit. If it keeps pushing up, up, up every time it sort of comes back down here, because obviously people are taking profit. As it continues to like sort of try and push up, there's got to be less people that are sort of happy to take profit at these levels, and then we're going to see an overrun, and we could see another leg up to the higher sort of resistance points with DXY. But for now, on that, certainly I think it's too precarious to sort of say, hey, look, no, dollar's going for this next leg higher. But equally in that, it's obviously not sort of being sold right down yet for now. So I think continue to sort of just trade the range where possible with these ones. In saying that, the flip across Aussie is a nice example of something that's just not really getting there. We had the seventh touch up of this falling resistance that was sort of started from its most recent highs, and that's sort of around 69 cents. And you can see it's getting tight down into this sort of last tip of this wedge here. Everything sort of does lead like in favor to a break to the downside if you were sort of to say that this is actually more this sort of descending triangle. Certainly the buyers that are coming in are happy to push it up, and each time you can see as it's come from here, we've had a sort of, where are we at here? So that's 290, so that's 140 point move up to the top side. These are coming in somewhat a little bit lower. We did have this sort of little push up over here. This was a CPI push, which obviously we saw the reaction of that and bang, slammed down, but equally it's been bought straight up again. I would have liked to have seen a close at least above this falling resistance, but if not above there, I mean, well, in addition to above there, sorry, I shouldn't say not apart from that, a close above sort of 63.80 to sort of show that sort of like where we can see these sellers are, where these wicks have been previously, we want to sort of see a depletion of that to see that we could actually push up a little bit higher. For the moment, this is more or less just a doji if you sort of have a look at these two. If you link these 2 days together, you got a long wick down here, you got a long wick up here, and like, your open and close are fairly close with each other. A little bit sort of tipping on the sort of bullish side, of course, because it did come down. If you look at the moves, it was sort of in the later part of the session that it started to come down. So, it was a bullish sort of through most of the session there and was sort of kicking along. And as you can see now, sort of we're sitting on the 38%. So it's not really anything that you can call at the moment. Like, I think a lot of the sections of the market are getting quite tricky because nothing's really sort of trending. Like, you're just seeing very much sort of like short, sharp moves, which are fine. I mean, you get in, get out, trade the ranges, these kind of things. But, there's no significant buy and hold opportunities at the moment, apart from gold, of course. But in terms of any of the sort of FX and like, dollar crosses. So I flick across to China as it still putters along sideways, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's just it's up, it's down. As you trade the range. Like, there's nothing to be really sort of going. Like, you can't say that the market is 100% in a decision this way or that way. There's no clear cut direction with this stuff. So if we sort of pull this one out here a little bit, we can still say that look, it's slowly grinding higher. These are the little ranges inside the main range. Again, just sort of waiting for these ones. I am still trying to sort of trade it to the downside, but I'm cautious because at the moment it is still looking like it's trying to come up and retest this zone here. So far unable to do so, but we've just got to sort of wait to sort of see what comes on Monday. Now that I have a quick look at this, we're not seeing a lot of buying coming up here, which obviously is reflected in the price. So, if we can't sort of get above this and close above this little short-term range, then can't go up. It's only got one direction to go. I'm probably looking back down again there as well. And copper. Copper's actually one that's started to perk up a little bit here. So we saw an early push, I think it was this Wednesday. Yeah, so Wednesday and that, it sort of definitely looked like it was coming out. This is the little channel that it's definitely been supporting. And this is what I've been saying. And this is the kind of thing where it's not, I mean, it did start off with a sort of negative divergence, but you can see this. If I get this out of the way, this is what I was saying, that sort of like, although it was hammering down, one, it didn't manage to sort of close down underneath this zone. And obviously, bang, markets bought it straight back up. But each time we're getting that buying is coming in at a slightly higher level. And I said, look, we're due for a little bit of a push back up here. And now we're starting to see this. realistically, it's still in this little consolidation zone. Like I wouldn't say again, like all the other sort of charts that I go across, nothing's really giving a screaming direction or a screaming sort of signal to say, hey, look, it's a buy or anything like this. Everything's against sort of copper because copper's a risk kind of commodity, really, and everything's against risk at the moment. So everything would be on a fundamental level be favoring the breakdown. Then you've got this large triangle that has been trading through for a long time. That's broken down. So it's technically on a breakdown from the on a technical basis. But the thing is, as it broke down, retested, shot down here, it's finding buyers, as we can see, like time and time again here. These have been fairly decent reactions from the buyers as well. So now you're looking for sort of other little shorter sort of technical levels and technical breakouts you can look for. And one that we've sort of noticed, obviously, if we could probably see it better maybe on the 4 hour, you can see as it's come down, every time it's come into contact here, it's sort of broken through. And this is where we had the chart sort of coming in through last week. We were sort of going, so where are we at here? This was the move that we were looking at, that it had sort of come up to test this top side, rejected down as we saw, and we're saying that, look, and this is why we had these little zones here, and you can see it's broken through the zone. Once it's broken through the zone, closed above, if we get this a little bit larger, you can see this close above, and look at the next candle, and these are 4 hours, and it's just hammered through, because a lot of the market are looking for these kind of smaller clues and indicators, although it's still realistically in a range, there are still trades there to be taken. But basically, sort of what we're looking at here is that, we were saying, look, if it closes down underneath this little zone, that we would be looking to sort of push back down, test these main ones down here. Obviously, we didn't get that. Can't go down, goes the other direction. And obviously, as it sort of came back up through here, we've seen the sort of breakout to the top side. So I think some of the market would be sort of looking at this. Obviously, 4 hours, not a sort of like, it's a decent medium term sort of trend, like time frame that you can trade off for sure. I've got the alert set because I want to see it above this zone here, which were these sort of previous like sort of high swing low sort of points from back in August. We've seen it sort of act as support and obviously resistance a couple of times. So I think sort of certainly putting out here and getting above these most recent highs from the start of October will sort of be sort of noticed by the market. And I expect a little bit of more of a push to the top side. I think sort of again 380 is a level that'll be very crucial to get above. Obviously, you've still got this sort of big sort of previous sort of rising sort of support that obviously is going to play a part as a sort of resistance now. So again, we could be seeing a sort of little bit of a move up to the top side here, a breakthrough here, a retest here, and then something along these lines, and then start to range through here. And then sort of make this new sort of range opposed to this range here. Like I said a couple of, or about a week or so ago, that, the triangle was the big thing. Everything was like predicated on that. It was offering great sort of trades for a long time and really worked well. But, that's broken. That's gone now. What seems to be holding more are these horizontals. So I'll get this out of the way again. So I think you probably sort of can say, okay, the triangle was there. That's cool. It provided great levels, which you could trade in between, but that was then, this is now. And I think sort of, as you can see, certainly here, where we go. So, you can see that the price has sort of been respecting these horizontals a lot more. So, if we can get back above this and get back into this sort of area, yes, I do have this still marked out with that sort of line, because I think some of the market will be still noticing it. Because obviously we're coming up to the underside of it all, but I think more the horizontals, at least for the time being, till we can sort of get a bit more of a picture and direction, I think will play a little bit more of a part with copper. But short term, if it fails to sort of get it and get above these previous highs from back in October, midway sort of first week or so of October, then we could continue, and it would probably look more where we at, more like a rejection back down here, and then back into this kind of thing. So I'm leaning towards this sort of first outcome. I think that risk is going to due for a little bit of a push up. I do, as I said, with all of the charts that I've been looking for dollar to sell down a little bit more. I've been looking for the yuan to sort of strengthen up a little bit more. I think copper will push up. I think Aussie has probably got a little bit of a bounce in it up until maybe 64.50, 6,500 at least zones. And then I think, we may see a snap back with things. All this could change, of course, but that's what I'm sort of looking at sort of in the medium term. All right, cool. And that's about it from me.